Hi stars, what's up? Thank you very much for stopping back by. I really hope that you're going to enjoy today's video and that you're going to take something away from it so that you can keep coming back for more. So what we're doing today is we are talking about how to build your character. So if that is something you'd be interested to watch, please do stay till the end of this video. But don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe and become a part of this acting family. Find me where the wild So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be sharing with you a very simple method that I use to build up characters, which is called the GOTE method of building characters. So after you have read the script, you would have determined if you are a protagonist or antagonist, or if you're a protagonist ally or an antagonist ally. If you don't know what a protagonist or antagonist is, drop it down below and I will make a separate video about that, so you know where you fit in the story. It's always going to be between the two, antagonist, protagonist. Now that you know where you belong in the story, the first thing that you need to look at is the G, the goal in the GOTE method. G stands for goal. This means that every script comes with a super objective, and then there's obviously objectives that come up throughout the entire film, throughout the whole play, and they are conquered, some not conquered, but every objective leads to one thing, the super objective. It's the exact same thing with your characters. As a character, no matter if you're a protagonist, antagonist, if you're a supporting character or not, no matter how small the character is, you have a super objective within the play, within the film, or else your character wouldn't exist. It is essential that when you start your character work, you find what the super objective is. Now remember, your script doesn't come with a whole breakdown of this is your super objective, this is your other main objectives. No, but you have to find that yourself, because how are you tackling a character if you do not know what do they want? Remember, a goal is what do you want in a scene? What do you want to achieve? For instance, let's say the protagonist of the movie or the play is maybe a sibling of mine and they want to rob a bank, and I happen to work at a bank. That's my character. So I'm a sibling to the protagonist and I work at a bank. My I want to help the protagonist rob the bank. So I want to help. That is my goal. That is something I want to achieve. So I've already determined that it could be my super objective that in the entire film I am there to help this heist to happen. Or it could not be a super objective, but one of my objectives, that in the robbery scene, what I want to achieve from that scene is to help the protagonist reach their goal, which is to rob the bank. But my goal is not to rob the bank, but it's to help him rob the bank. So do you get it? You need to understand why you are in there. Now let's say you are in scene 1 and you show up again in scene 5 and you show up again in scene 11. It's not a mistake. There's a reason why you are in that scene. It is also important that you find out why you are in that particular scene. Why are you in the first scene, not in scene 2, not in scene 3, and then you show up again in scene 5? So every scene, every time when your character is present in a scene, there's a reason. So you have to know, what are you in that scene to do, whether it's your scene, whether it's not your scene. If you also don't understand what is your scene, not your scene, drop it down below. I know it's a lot. I'm just trying not to talk about different things at once, but doesn't matter who the scene belongs to, but if you are in that scene, there is a goal why you are in that scene. So you have to discover your goal in the story as a whole, which is the super objective, and you have to discover all the other goals that you have within the story that would lead you to your super objective goal, which brings us to the second thing, which is what the O stands for. For the obstacle. Now every movie, every show that you've watched and you really liked is because there was conflicts. There would be there's no story without conflict. You wouldn't like the shows that you like or the movie that you like if there was no conflict. So every story needs to have that element of drama, which is conflict. Every character in the story has to have conflict. You need to discover what your obstacles are. What is this thing or things that hinder you from reaching your goal? It's always going to be there. If we would watch a movie where the character is just from point A, from the exposition to the rising action to the climax to the decomposition to the equilibrium, if everything was normal and everything was smooth for them, we wouldn't watch it. Would be boring, you know. So you have to understand and discover what your obstacles. So obstacles come in many different ways. It could be other people within the scene. It could be people that hinder you from getting whatever you want to get. It could be situations. It could be finances. But every character has drama, has something that stops them from getting to their goal. So you also need to discover that, because so that when you're playing, because obstacles come with weaknesses. Acting and character work is like a person. Everything is crafted like an actual person. In real life, we have strengths and we have weaknesses. We have things that we can do, we have things that we can't do. Your characters are exactly the same. So you need to be aware of their life. You need to be aware of what makes them tick. What are their weaknesses? What are their strengths? And weaknesses are in line with obstacles. So that when you get to facing those weaknesses as your character, you are able to play vulnerability. Not necessarily mean that you will not be able to conquer your obstacles, but when it's time to play vulnerable or weak or frustration, because when you can't do something in real life, I know people are different, but when you can't do something in real life, it's either you're frustrated or you even more amped up to get it done, you know. So same thing as your character, it creates dynamic and levels to your character, that when you are facing obstacles, you react a certain way, the way that you've built your character. So when developing your character, you also need to be aware of what are the obstacles that hinder me, so that you will be able to build tactics towards overcoming that obstacle, which brings me to the T, which stands for tactics. Tactics are the method in which you as the character will use to overcome your obstacles. You feel me? So that's what our tactics are. It's the tools that you as the character will use to try and reach your goal. So we have goals, we have obstacles, and we have tactics. Just like how in real life you always have something that you want and you have something that's gonna hinder you, and you always try and overcome that. So if you want to buy a camera, that's your goal. You are jobless, you don't have money, that's your obstacle. Tactics, you try and get a job to raise money to buy the camera. You feel me? So even character wise, even acting wise, it's like that. You need to understand what my character wants, what's stopping my character, what is my character going to do to get what they want. So everything, you need to break it down so much. You need to break down your script so much that you are able to categorize your character's emotions. You are able to categorize your character's actions with, okay, they're acting a certain way because right now in their journey they want to achieve this. They're acting a certain way because right now in their journey they feel like they are hindered by this. Their main obstacle is this. They're acting like this at the beginning because they've just discovered that this is their goal. So you need to understand why your character is feeling the way they do. What do they want? How do they want to get it? Which brings me to the last point, which is the E, expectation. Back to our example. So I'm a teller working at a bank and I want to help my sibling, which is the protagonist, rob a bank. Now, it could be that in the script, the robbery ends up not happening. Maybe the police catches us before we rob the bank. So the script closes off, or the story ends by that goal not being achieved. My ultimate goal is to make sure that the heist happens. So even though you know that the heist is not going to happen because you've read the entire script, you know, but your job as the actor, as the character, is to convince the audience that it is going to happen, because that's what your objective is. That's what your super objective, it is to make sure that that heist happens. So the way that you act, you, even though it's not going to happen, but your expectation as the character is that it should happen. When you, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm making this. When you are playing that character, you need to make sure that we believe that it's going to happen. You need to expect it to happen as the character, even though you know, because you've read the entire script, that it's not going to happen. So you can't leave that level of us suspecting that it's not going to happen. You need to be that much convinced that it's going to happen, because that's what your super objective goal is. So expectation basically refers to acting so much, that believing so much or working so much towards your super objective that you don't see that it's not going to happen, even if it's not going to happen, or if it is going to happen, you're already convinced that it's going to happen as the character. I hope you guys find this method not so hard to work with. I find it extremely doable, because I always say that acting is not about the acting that you give, but it's more about preparation. It's more about what you do before getting to the actual acting. Because if you've broken down your character, your words, and you understand your why are you here, what are you doing, how are you going to get it done, which is basically what we've basically outlined, which is the GOTE method, everything else naturally happens to your body. Your body is instantly going to react a certain way. It's instantly, your voice is going to take a certain direction if you understand your existence. So I always say a lot of acting is done behind the scenes. A lot of good acting is crafted behind the scenes. It doesn't happen on the spot, when because you could be a great actor, but if you don't understand what you're doing, why are you doing it, how are you doing it, with who are you doing it to get, what are you doing it, then there's no way you're going to achieve great acting. So I've come to the end of this video, but if you have any other methods, that, guys, there are various other methods, but this is just one of the methods that I use that work for me, and I'm just like, okay, let me bring and share it here because it's friendly to beginners. It's just, it's one way that you can really go on about and start doing your characterizations. If you enjoyed this video, please drop it down below. Don't forget to show me some love, leave me comments, and also follow me on Instagram. But I'll see you next time. You definitely are a star. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.